Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namah Shivaya, and welcome to our meditation practice today. I wanted to talk a little bit. So, I want to announce that I've decided to do podcasts. Like, oh my God, we need another yoga podcast. But I'm going to do a podcast. It's going to be a talk show kind of situation, dialogue. Issues, current events, yoga, psychology, philosophy, and I was told by a psychic that I would start a podcast. Or she was like, I think you need to start a podcast, and I was like, oh, okay. And she said, it'll be a host kind of talk show thing. She told me this about 4 or 5 months ago, and I felt it really hit me that with the current situation with the George Floyd murder and the riots and the pandemic, that now's a good time to start it. So I'm excited about that, and I've already kind of lined up my first guest, and we'll talk about the current events that are kind of happening now. And it's interesting. Like yesterday, a young lady reached out to me from in town, and she had been practicing at a yoga studio in New York, and because we've used our social media platform to talk about these current events, talk about updates on what's happening in marches, and also there was a George Floyd mural that was painted up in Greenville, and we posted that. I posted it from Jessica's site, who had posted it from Chickpea, and she said as a person of color, that she was very appreciative that we were using the platform to talk about these issues. And you could see that between the lines that she was disappointed in other yoga communities for not approaching these issues, for feeling uncomfortable with them. And it's true. It takes a very brave yogi and a business owner to actually be willing to talk about social political issues in connection with their business. But when I wrote her back, I pointed out, I said, yoga, the teachings of yoga have always been within the context of politics. Some people may look at me and go, well, that's just, they don't see it. But when you talk about the politics of becoming a renunciate, right? You leave society. That is actually a statement to society, right? If I become the yogi who wants to go sit in a cave in the Himalayas, and I leave my family, I leave my parents, I leave my friends, I leave my relationships, I leave the social norms that I know, then I'm making a statement on society and the politics of the society that I'm rejecting. I'm rejecting something. Within the context of the Puranic stories, many of the Puranic stories are stories about, the king becoming enlightened, and the king dealing with certain issues, or the king dealing with the people that he rules over and their interaction, and how the king can be a better leader through the understanding of yoga. This is what happens with Ram in the Ramayana, and then this is what happens with Krishna and Arjuna in the Mahabharata. It's all about the context of politics. Even within the Yoga Sutras, right? Patanjali does not talk about politics, but he gives you the yamas, which are the restrictions of how you should conduct yourself in society. Don't harm, don't steal, don't lie, don't use your sexual energy to manipulate or abuse others. Do not, take more than you need, meaning political greed, right? Whether it's financial or political or whatever. So, don't take more. So here again, how do I conduct myself within society? How do I interact with, others? How do I interact in a way that I stop seeing otherness and I see oneness? So yoga has always been about politics. Politics. The word politics actually comes from the Greek word politika, and it refers to the body. The body are the totality of, right? So the body of society. Yoga is also the idea of conducting the body, interacting with the body. So there's always this this understanding that that the yoga of action, or karmic yoga, can be just like Gandhi, which is I am interacting politically. And Gandhi was a great yogi. He was a great yogi. Meditation and his sadhana was the most important thing to him in the morning. But he took his practice and he applied it to liberating his people. So when yoga practitioners kind of avoid the issues of the day, and let's just be honest, most people who practice yoga, at least in the Northeast, are going to be progressive thinkers. They're going to be, what other people would call liberals, but they're going to be progressive thinkers. And, when you have to be willing to put yourself out there and to accept the heat you're going to get back from whatever you put out there. You're going to get kickback. But you will find that you will bring more people into the tradition of yoga by being upstanding, showing that you're willing to address injustice, and you're willing to address racism and sexism and classism and educational divides, and that you are willing just to say something. Don't be afraid to say something, right? You may not say the right thing every time, and you may even have people in the progressive world inform you that what you said was not the right thing, or wasn't, or they may give you another point of view. But don't be afraid to say something. Don't be fearful. When we talk about racism, we forget that racism is not just hate, or the hate of others because of the color of their skin, or where they are from geographically, or where they worship, or we tend to kind of label racism as hate. But in reality, racism, systemic historical racism, is a political and economic system that oppresses people based upon color or ethnicity to allow the society itself to profit from their oppression. And that's what racism is. So, while we're we're looking at racism through the lens of of how an African American man was murdered by cops, the issue of racism goes far beyond that into and that's what has to really be addressed. And also from culture to culture, this is very important for my European brothers and sisters to understand, my Asian brothers and sisters to understand, my Latino brothers and sisters to understand if you're in other countries. From country to country, that systemic racism is going to be different. So if you're you're in Amsterdam and you have become outraged at what happened here in the States, and you're motivating yourself to like get out there and be heard, just please remember that what African Americans have to experience in this country is not the same systemic racism that Turks have to experience in Holland. It's not the same. They're different. They're totally different experiences, and they're totally different issues. And one of the things that is probably the shortcoming or the downfall of progressives and liberals is when we become active, sometimes we take other people's story and we make it our story, right? Jivamukti, I'm going to be critical. Jivamukti is doing a talk about like healing and everything. And, I was asked to show up. I wasn't asked to be on the panel. And I'm like, it's all filled with my European brothers and sisters, people living in Europe. And I'm like, wait a minute. You need people on the ground. You need people who are here in the States who are experiencing this on your panel. And you need people of color on your panel. You need not, and when I say people of color, I mean black people, not, because it's different. It's just different. You have to have those people on the panel to talk about what needs to be done. Or if you have a situation where you have, mostly European teachers or teachers teaching in Europe, and they're progressive thinkers and liberal thinkers, that's great. But, you have a Jivamukti Center right here in Jersey City. Jersey City is the most ethnically diverse city in in America. That's already out there. And this yoga studio that Bobby and I run is one of the most ethnically diverse yoga studios I've ever been to, but it's a reflection of the community, right? So, you can't have a panelist of 30-something-year-old white European women talking about American racism and how to heal it. You have to have those voices there. I'm not even the right voice. You need to reach out to black yoga teachers, African American yoga teachers, and have them on the panel. Have them talk about what needs to be done to heal and how yoga can heal within their community. Those voices have to be there, or it becomes hollow. And that's one of the things that unfortunately happens within the progressive movement is we become cocooned and comfortable within our own communities, and we tend not to step out of them to encourage the voice of others, because it makes us feel uncomfortable. We may be progressive, we may be liberal, but we still have the same issues as everybody else when it comes to our discomfort. But as yogis, we should know that we have to be uncomfortable, that we have to get out there and actually um, take a moment and experience discomfort to grow. Um, so we'll continue this discussion over the days and the weeks as things develop, and we'll look at, and here again, I can only really talk about this from the point of view as an American who lived in the South, American South, and also has lived in the Northeast. I can't speak on, systemic historical racism in, Luxembourg. Like, I don't know what that looks like. I have no idea. And that same respect should be offered across the pond. Like, I have no idea what you're experiencing. Um, Take a moment and set up and close your eyes and bring the senses inward. Cultivate that ability to be the witness. When we talk about being the witness, one of the beautiful things about being able to cultivate the witness is that when others tell their story, you're able to be the witness to it instead of making it your story. You are able to be compassionate to them instead of sympathetic to them. And allow the breath to deepen. Deep inhales and deep exhales. Inhale deeply. Exhale deeply. As you inhale, focus your mind on the mantra of Om and hear the sound of Om resonate within yourself. As you inhale, as you exhale the sound of Om, hear inhaling the sound of Om. Exhaling the sound of Om. As you inhale the sound of Om, see the symbol of Om within the mind's eye. As you exhale, see the symbol of Om within the mind's eye. Continue to hear the sound of Om and see the symbol of Om within your own body as you inhale. And as you exhale, continue to hear the sound of Om and see the symbol of Om within your own body. If the mind begins to wander, focus on the breath, focus on the mantra, focus on the symbol. Control the mind. Calm the mind. Continue this on your own. Continue deep inhales and deep exhales. Silently tell yourself, I am not this body. Silently tell yourself, I am not this mind. Silently tell yourself, I am not these thoughts. Silently tell yourself, I am not these emotions. Tell yourself you are Swayambakashit, self-illuminating infinity, eternal and everlasting light. Inhale for the sound of Om. Bringing the hands together, rubbing the hands together, building heat within the hands. Bring the hands over the eyes. Allow the heat from the hands to be absorbed into the eyes. Gently open the eyes. Bring the hands across the forehead, the top of the head, the back of the neck. Bringing the hands together in prayer, bowing the head slightly, allowing the thumbs to touch the forehead. The cosmic conscious energy source right at the third eye. Bowing down to the teachers and the teachings of yoga from the past, the present, and those that are still yet to be revealed. Om Bolo Sadguru Bhagavan Ki Jai. Namaste. And thank you guys so much for joining me today for meditation. I will see you tomorrow. And our actual, yes, I'll see you tomorrow. And I